Welcome to the AFN Sports Arena with Jancy and Tori. I'm Jancy Ellis, and I'm joined in the AFN Okinawa studio by the Air Force Staff Sergeant Tori Kuzumano. Drama.
That's awfully dramatic today.
It is. It is. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a beautiful day to be alive. NFL season is officially here.
I know. I'm ecstatic right now because football is back, people. We made it. The long wait is over. The opening week of the 2017 NFL season is here, and it couldn't come soon enough.
Oh.
That's how I feel. Angels are singing. I can't wait. But before we get too deep into all of that, let's discuss what happened on the gridiron here on Island first. Now, I was out of town. I was up on mainland.
Boo.
Yeah. But I know you got a primetime seat in the box for the Kadena Panther and Kubasaki Dragon matchup this last weekend. And from what I gather, it was a pretty ugly night for the Dragons.
Well, Jancy, the very first play from scrimmage, Kadena Panthers running back Eric McCarter took the ball 80 yards for a touchdown.
Okay, set the tone early.
But within 3 minutes of the game, Kadena was up 22-0.
Ooh.
Within 5 minutes of the game, Kadena was up 30-0.
And then the clock started running?
And the clock started running, but the flags kept coming out, and it was kind of a grind from then on out. Kadena eventually took it by a score of 43-6. Cody Seago, quarterback, Eric McCarter, running back, combined for 5 touchdowns.
Dang.
Eric McCarter ran for 199 yards. Uriah Morris rushed for 112 yards.
That's a lot of offense going on right there. Not a lot of defense.
Well, it's funny you say that because Eric McCarter, on top of those 199 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, had an interception in this game.
I believe that. He fancies himself a defensive player.
Yes, and it showed out there. I mean, he has an effortless stride to him when he's on offense, but on defense, you can see he's working out there. So this was, we know we talked about last week with Dave that you can throw the records out with these two teams, but Kubasaki just didn't have what it took to stand up to Kadena's high-powered offense this week.
Now, did you see anything of promise for Kubasaki, or is there any silver lining?
Oh, certainly. They excelled in the passing game. It took them a little while to get it going, but they had a couple of long completions, including one for those 6 points for that touchdown. So they definitely have some positives to build off of going into next week. Now, I'm not sure who's going to be able to stop Kadena in the league this year. It seems like Kinnick's got the best chance.
Yep.
They're going to play each other coming up here at the end of September. That's going to be a big game.
So we'll keep our eyes on that. Both Kadena and Kubasaki take a rest this week and pick back up their schedules on September 16th. That's a Saturday. Kadena will travel to meet American School in Japan, who, as you may remember, served them that heartbreaking loss in the D1 title game last season.
Oh.
We'll see if they can revenge that this year.
Yay.
Looking good. And Kubasaki will also be on the road, facing off against Seoul American. And as always, you can get updates and full game recaps at stripes.com.
Oh. I mean,
Dave Orenauer and our friends over there. They keep us updated,
That's
and
right.
we're happy about it.
Yes, we are.
Well, okay, I can't wait much longer. It's time to discuss opening week in the NFL.
That's right. Bum, 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 bum.
I was waiting for a sound effect.
I'm just doing it myself today.
There are an incredible amount of games airing on AFN beginning now through Tuesday, but we've picked a few big matchups that we think you shouldn't miss. Now, first up, we've got the Oakland Raiders at the Tennessee Titans.
Wait a minute. That's not on Monday Night Football.
No, it's not. Now, when I hear these two teams, I don't think of perennial playoff contenders or anyone on the rosters that screams Hall of Fame. But the hype surrounding both teams is huge right now. Like we've mentioned in an earlier podcast, the Oakland Raiders have had the most bets placed on them this offseason to win the Super Bowl. Now, that doesn't mean that they're the team that has the highest odds to win the Super Bowl. That's the Patriots.
Boo.
It just means they have the most bets placed. But despite all of that, the Tennessee Titans are actually slightly favored to win this game.
What?
I know. All of the prediction models agree that although the Raiders are the superior team, they're traveling to Tennessee, and home field advantage matters in matchups like this.
Certainly.
So what are you expecting to see? What players do you have your eyes on?
It's a little surprising to me that the Oakland Raiders are not favored to win this game because they have proven much more than the Tennessee Titans have. I say that, But the Titans last year, after losing Marcus Mariota for the year, ended up going 9-7, improving on a record of 3-13 from the year before. So as a team, the Titans have proved more, but they're an unknown commodity with Marcus Mariota at quarterback now. He did well his first year. The win-loss record didn't show it, but statistically he did well. Now, we'll see how that translates to the field this year. Oakland, we know what they offer. If Derek Carr had not gone down late in the year, last year, they would have been in the Super Bowl conversation, to be sure.
It would have been a different picture.
Now, the key matchup in this game, if I had to boil it down to one, Jancy, would be Raiders defensive end Khalil Mack versus Tennessee Titans quarterback Marcus Mariota. We're going to see how he does on that leg, because a big part of his game is running the ball, Jancy.
Yep.
And if he is able to negate Mack's rushing ability by getting outside the pocket and running down the field, it could be a long day for this Raiders defense. But if he doesn't trust his legs, then he might end up getting teed off on. Because Khalil Mack is no joke. He had 11 sacks last year, 15 the year before that. The man is a one-man wrecking crew.
Yeah, I agree. And even though the Raiders have a few standout defensive players, as a whole, they're not one of the strongest defenses in the league. Neither are the Titans. And so both teams do have a high-powered offense and somewhat lackluster defenses as a whole, despite those few stars. And so I expect to see pretty high-scoring shootout. So it will be fun to watch. And if all the experts are correct, you can expect both the Raiders and Titans to make appearances in the playoffs come January. Unfortunately, you're going to have to stay up late / wake up early to catch this game live, as it will be airing on AFN Sports 2 on Monday morning at 2 a.m.
How big of a fan are you?
Right?
That is the question. No. I'm up then anyway, Jancy.
Oh, yeah?
I got to be up early.
Yeah, you do. So maybe, you are the perfect person to be doing this podcast with, because you're up before the crack of dawn.
Yeah, let me tell you. And I definitely want to spend that morning watching the Oakland Raiders.
Sizing up the competition, right?
Yeah, that's true. I'll send my report in to the Broncos when they play.
I'm sure they will be waiting on it.
And bated breath.
And the second game features two teams that we've come to expect to be watching in January. The NFC powerhouses, Seattle Seahawks at the Green Bay Packers. Now, these are the two top-ranked teams in the NFC right now, and with two big-time quarterbacks in Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, respectively, it's safe to say that whoever wins this matchup may be looking at the number one seed. So the stakes are high, even in Week 1. I know I'm looking forward to watching Aaron Rodgers go up against Richard Sherman in the Seahawks defense. I want to see if he's still got it. What are you watching for?
Much of the same, and you hit it on the head with these two teams being the top in the NFC. On ESPN's NFL predictions this year, they have them ranked numbers 3 and 4 in the league. They've got the Patriots and the Steelers, believe it or not, ranked ahead of them. Regardless, this is just like Alabama, Florida State, where you have two high-powered teams facing off early in the season.
Yep.
Both teams presumably will not be firing on all cylinders, because all teams have things they need to figure out over the first few weeks of the season. But that being said, this is an excellent primetime matchup right here. And the matchup I really look for as far as players go, wide receiver Devontae Adams versus cornerback Richard Sherman.
Yes.
Cornerback Richard Sherman has set the standard. He's set the bar over the past several years for cornerback play and trash talk.
Yes.
Surprisingly not on my punk list, Jancy.
Really?
Don't know why or how.
Yeah,
There's no algorithm or formula to what lands you on my punk list, but he's not on there.
I'll pick your brain about that one later, because I thought for sure.
Last year, the Packers and the Seahawks resulted in a 38-10 Packers victory. Devontae Adams went for 4 catches, a $104, and 2 touchdowns. So he pretty much owned Richard Sherman last year, and Richard Sherman does not take too kindly to that sort of thing.
He's had this game circled.
Oh, for sure, and no doubt he's watched a lot of film in the offseason, so we'll be interested to see how those two stack up, and that really is a microcosm for the high-powered Packers offense versus the Seahawks defense.
I completely agree. And the Packers are predicted to win, but if this matchup over the years has taught us anything, it's that it's always unpredictable. You really never know. And you can watch this game live on AFN Sports. Kickoff is not at prime time here. It's at 5:25 a.m. on Monday, so maybe you can wake up bright and early before work and start your week off right.
It's Monday morning football.
Monday morning
Monday
football.
morning.
That'll be a thing for us here.
Yeah.
And the final matchup we have our eyes on this week is the Sunday night football game, New York Giants at the Dallas Cowboys. This NFC East rivalry game is always a good one. But this matchup is especially intriguing as it may be the only chance we get to watch Cowboys' Ezekiel Elliott in action this season. That is, if his appeal for a 6-game suspension is not upheld.
Well, it seems like he's going to play in this first game at least.
So we will for sure see him.
And who knows what kind of shape he'll be in when he comes back from that 6-game suspension.
Yeah.
But we'll see him tonight, and all reports out of camp and out of practice have been that he's laser-focused and he really wants to make an impression about what the rest of the league is going to be missing over the next 6 weeks after this first matchup.
Exactly.
So the Giants should definitely be quaking in their boots.
Yeah. You know that Elliott is going to want to get some really good highlights on film this week. But there are plenty more playmakers to watch aside from Elliott. I'm most excited/anxious to see if Giants' Odell Beckham Jr.'s status will be activated. He's been suffering from an ankle injury, but he's looking pretty probable. That's because we all know he usually puts some impressive highlights on film against the Cowboys.
That's definitely true. We may have seen a catch or two that will stand the test of time with that. But it's funny you mentioned that because that leads perfectly into my matchup to watch this week for the Giants and the Cowboys, and that is Brandon Marshall and Odell Beckham Jr. versus themselves.
How does that work?
I don't know.
Matchup on the same side of the ball.
We know between the whistles, Brandon Marshall and Odell Beckham Jr. are two of the top receivers in the game. It's everything that happens after the whistle that is the problem with these two. You've seen both of them flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. They both had temper tantrums on the sideline at various points during their career.
Which is not unusual for wide receivers.
Not unusual for wide receivers, but you really hope that it doesn't end up hurting the Giants because that tandem of wide receivers is more talented than any other in the league. And even an aging Eli Manning should be able to drop enough dimes in there to make the Giants have a high-powered offense this year. I think they can beat the Cowboys. I don't know if they're going to have everything figured out, continuing with the theme of this is early in the year and they're not going to quite have their rhythm down. You say that's what training camp's for.
Yeah.
Game situations are different.
Now, the Cowboys are projected to win, but it's worth mentioning that despite all of Dallas' success last year, they were still 0-2 against Big Blue. So it's definitely a game worth keeping an eye on. Kickoff will be at 9:20 a.m. local time on AFN Sports. And as always, make sure you head over to myafn.net to check your complete TV schedule and find out when your home team will be playing and when you can catch game replays.
Go Broncos.
I have to agree with you on that one. I will or will not deny that my schedule has been altered around when Broncos games will be airing.
They usually air during work, and I get very little work done during that time.
Shh, don't let Mr. Bobby hear. And we can't leave you today without mentioning the impact that both Hurricane Harvey and impending Hurricane Irma are having not only on the sports world, but the people who reside in those hard-hit areas. We know that Houston Texans' J.J. Watt has already raised $27 million. That's right, for the victims of Hurricane Harvey. And the Tampa Bay Bucks and Miami Dolphins game scheduled for this weekend has already been canceled, and the teams are evacuating. So these natural disasters have been devastating, to say the least. But if we know anything about America and sports in America, we know that we will all rally and work together to rebuild. So from all of us out here to everyone out there who may be either from those areas or have family stateside, stay safe, and we're thinking of you.
Well said.
It's scary, sometimes seeing those things happen stateside when we're all the way over here on the other side of the world. And sometimes the most we can do is just share our thoughts and prayers with them. So
absolutely.
We're hoping for the best. That'll be all that we have for you today. Make sure you tune in next week to the AFN Sports Arena. And we'd love to hear from you at afnsportsarena@gmail.com. Tell us what you want to hear from us. We're an evolving show. We'd love to know what you want to hear each week.
Feedback much appreciated.
We love it. Have a great weekend, stay safe, and don't forget, you have to look good to play good.